This is the Google Merchant Center Misrepresentation Fix Checklist. You want to work through every single section before submitting a review. Most of the accounts we see are suspended not just because of one large issue, but it's because of lots of several small ones that might be overlooked. An important thing to note is you only have 3 review attempts, so you need to make sure you've checked everything in this document before you submit a review. If you go through 3 review attempts and they're all disapproved, your Google Merchant Center account will be permanently suspended. So we want to make sure we don't have that happen. Make sure you follow everything in this checklist and hopefully you should get it approved. Now, what does Google check about you as a business? The first thing is your domain and your identity. It wants to make sure that all the pieces of information it's got on the Google Merchant Center and on your Shopify, it all matches up. So the first thing, the email address that you use should be your own domain. So not a Gmail, not a Hotmail. It should be hello@domain.com, for example, or support@domain.com. Now we want to move on to your business name in the Google Merchant Center. That should match your store exactly. No abbreviations, no hyphens. Everything should be completely the same. So once we've done that, we also want to make sure that there's no duplicate domains claimed in another Google Merchant Center account. This is quite an uncommon scenario, but what might happen is if you have another Merchant Center for a different store, but it's running through the same domain, it's running the same products, or it's running the same business information, Google might flag that for misrepresentation. If you do have a duplicated domain in another Google Merchant Center, you want to unclaim it from the old account or delete the non-used Google Merchant Center. Moving on to site health, you want to make sure your site runs on HTTPS with a valid SSL certificate. That just means you've got a security connection between your browser and your web server, so it helps with security against attacks and also just protecting data on the website. You want to make sure you also have no broken links or 404 pages. Now, if you do find any 404 pages or any broken links, either fix them or remove them before you then send another request. One thing that's often overlooked is page speed. You can check that through Page Speed Insights by Google, and you want to make sure it's an acceptable speed for both mobile and desktop. If your page speed is slow, you can look at reducing the image size or image quality on your homepage. You can reduce the amount of custom elements and layers that you have, or potentially look at removing certain plugins that might be affecting the speed. Then lastly, you want to make sure there's no white text on white backgrounds. Adversely, any black text on black backgrounds. You want to make sure every single piece of content on your website is legible so anybody can read anything and nothing is hidden. So if you're a Shopify store or you use Shopify and you've ever duplicated your Shopify theme, you want to make sure that any of the leftover tracking codes, so Metapixel tracking, Google Analytics or Merchant Center tracking codes, all of these old codes, if they link to different accounts, that looks like misrepresentation to Google. Then we can move on to the header and footer. You need to make sure in the footer that your logo is visible. You have all of your policy pages linked as well. So your terms and conditions, your privacy policy, shipping policy. You also need to make sure you have your physical business address written out in full. So no postcode, it has to be a physical business address. Your company name should be visible as well as any contact details. So email or phone, whichever is going to be easiest and most reliable. And then also, if you have links for your About Us, track your order, and warranty pages linked, if that's applicable to yourself. A lot of these errors happen when the stores have all of the links, but there's no physical address or the text isn't visible on the page. And then for header, same with the logo. It needs to be a clickable home link when you press the logo. You also need to make sure you have your collection links, so your product collections. They all lead to pages that have actual live products in them as well. Similarly, with your About Us and Contact Us and Track Your Order pages, these need to be accessible from the header as well if you do have them. If you do have empty collections in your navigation, then you can fill them with a correct redirect or just remove the links entirely. Then looking at your policy pages, in your About Us, you want to avoid using templates. And I know in a time where people use ChatGPT for a lot of different work or they use Claude, for your About Us, try to make sure it's as authentic as possible. Ensure that it's written specifically about your business and try not to use AI as much as you can. The About Us page should also just explain what you sell, who you are, and why you exist as a brand. What's your purpose? What's your goal? What's your drive? In your Contact Us section, there should be at least 2 contact methods. So, for example, email and a contact form. Your customer service hours should be listed with the time zone explicitly stated as well. If you miss a time zone, that could be another reason why stores end up failing or being disapproved. If you have the data, include your typical response time. You want to also make sure that your contact form is working and correct. And if you have an FAQ page, make sure you have a working link to that as well. So moving on to shipping policy. You want to make sure you detail all of your shipping costs, and if you've got any free shipping thresholds, if they're applicable, they should also be written. If you have a daily order cutoff time, that should be correct, and it should also match what is being found or inputted into your Google Merchant Center. So if you say it's a 1 p.m. cutoff, that should be the same in Google Merchant Center as well to avoid any discrepancies. Same with your transit time and delivery time. They should be listed separately, and they should also be listed in business days. Then any geographic restrictions, if you don't ship anywhere, if you're only focusing on a certain country or part of the world, make sure that is explicitly stated in that section as well. Last but not least, you also want to make sure your business contact details are at the bottom of every single page. Shipping policy ties quite nicely into your return policy, so you want to make sure you detail your return window after delivery if you do take returns. Who normally covers the return shipping costs? Is it on the customer? Is it covered by yourself? And what are the conditions that falls under? If you take returns, you should also detail what your return address is, and also things like how long would it take for the process of a refund to return to the customer once the return arrives, and if you also have any restocking fees. These will match what you have inputted into Google Merchant Center as well. So once you've checked that these are all active on your website, make sure they match what is in Google Merchant Center as well. Say, for example, if you don't accept returns, then that needs to also be stated clearly. If you're missing a return policy or it's incomplete, that is an automatic fail with Google in your misrepresentation. If you have any other pages, so privacy, payment, terms of service, tracking orders, FAQs, make sure your full business contact details are at the bottom of every single page. That is a theme across all of your pages. Make sure that you have your business contact details at the bottom of every single one, just to be sure. Now, moving on to product pages, these are things you want to remove before you submit a review. So if you have inflated compare out prices, so your sale price, or fake discounted reviews, make sure you remove them. If you also have any countdown timers or artificial urgency, so there's only 3 left, sale ends in 12 hours, but if that's not true, then that needs to be removed as well. If you include any guarantee language of any kind in your descriptions or your product titles, that should definitely be removed, as well as any health claims, income promises, or any other trigger words that would flag for Google. Lastly, if you've got any unverifiable reviews or endorsements, that should definitely be removed. If you have a new store and it's a new Google Merchant Center account, the main focus should be getting your Google Merchant Center approved first without any promotions, then you can introduce them later on. Normally what happens when people add early discounts or discounts too early when they've just started their Merchant Center account, it tends to be one of the triggers for Google to flag for misrepresentation. Now, finally, we want to look at your Google Merchant Center settings. So is your domain claimed and verified and that matches your live store URL? This is found in Business Info under your Google Merchant Center. You also want to make sure, as stated before, your shipping settings in Google Merchant Center reflect your actual shipping policy. Same with your return settings, they should also match your website return policy. Quite a niche one, but it can happen. Make sure there's no trailing full stop after your email address domain. So if it's info@store.com, make sure you don't have a full stop at the end. And last but not least, ensure business info is fully complete, including branding. So if you have live chat features, email support, everything that you can include in business info, make sure that is detailed, even including all of the branding colors that you have in your logos. That will help with Google verifying that you are a real and legit business. This is a PSA for anybody who's thinking about opening a new Google Merchant Center account. Creating a new Google Merchant Center account will not fix your misrepresentation suspension. Google links your accounts by looking at your domains, your products, and any of the business details that you have included as well. So if you start using the same store with the same products, the same domain, the same business info, but the issue is not fixed or resolved, then you are at risk of having that Merchant Center disapproved for misrepresentation, as well as your existing or previous Google Merchant Center. Now, hopefully you've went through the entire checklist, you've checked absolutely everything, and you've requested a review, and Google has said it's been approved. If so, congratulations. If not, come back to the checklist and see if there's anything else that you've missed. We've tried to include everything from all of the real examples that we've ever seen, so it is one complete, comprehensive guide that you can refer back to if it ever happens in the future. If you have any questions or unique situations that you're in, please do let us know in the comments down below, and we will do our best to help you. The reason why we make these videos is to help you grow your business, fix any issues that you've got with Google Ads, Google Merchant Center, and also your feed. The main purpose of these videos is just to drive as much value as you can so we can grow your business. And if you do ever want to reach out in the future and potentially work with us, then we are here to help you take your store to the next level. So that being said, if you are already spending on Google with over 100 parent SKUs in your catalog and you would like Peak to run a free live audit for your store, you can do so in the description, or you can head to the Google Doc and there'll also be an option for you there. Best of luck with your Google Merchant Center misrepresentation, and we'll see you in the next video.